Welcome everyone. In this video I'm going to go through all 4 challenges from my subroutines video. Starting off with challenge 1 is creating a subroutine that can take 2 numbers as a parameter and output those results added together. Now this is already in the video, so we'll go over it again anyway, just because it'll allow me a little practice on making subroutines, because I haven't used them in a while as I've been creating these videos. So static void add numbers. So we're going to create the subroutine first, and then we're going to call the subroutine after. So we're going to add the numbers in the subroutine, and the idea is I want to create an integer with 2 numbers that can be passed into the subroutines. Yeah, so we're going to create 2 integers as arguments, and we're going to be able to pass these integers in the subroutines. It's going to add them together, and it's going to show the result on screen. So once we've got our 2 numbers, we're going to use an answer variable, and we are going to say that that answer variable is equal to num1 plus num2. And I wrote 2 instead of 1 there. So there we go. And that will just write that to the screen. So I'm not going to do any user inputs for this. It's just to show you how a little bit of extra depth on how this actually works. So the way that this works is I can put anything I like here. So I can go 4 and 5 in here, and it will add up 4 and 5 and show it to the screen. So it's going to do line 13 first. Then, because line 13 is the call to this subroutine, it's going to do line 19, then line 20, and then it's going to go back and then finish with line 14. So that's why I like to say console.writeLine program end, because you can see the order that things happen. So 13, 20, 21, and then 14. So 4 plus 5 is 9, and that ends the program after that. So what I could do is I could have other bits of code. So let's do other bits of code here. So I'm going to say 7 and 8 here, and 9 and 10 here. Now I can actually call these whenever I like. So I could have more code here, and then later on I might want to do the add numbers again. So I'm going to have more code there. So you can make these subroutines. You don't have to put them all together. You can call these subroutines wherever you like. So you can see it's done line 13, line 24, 25, then line 14, then line 15 calls 24 and 25 again. Then we've got line 16, then line 17 calls 24 and 25 again, and then line 18, and then line 19 to end the program. So that is how subroutines work. I thought I'd go a little bit more detailed than the tutorial video, just in case you didn't quite get how they worked there. Right, let's do the next challenge. In this one, we're going to need to calculate the sum. It says average, but it actually says sum there. So I think the next challenge in the functions video is going to ask to calculate the average. So we're going to actually calculate the sum, not the average. I could go back and fix it in the video, but I don't want to, so we're just going to leave it there. This is going to take an array, so we're going to call this numbers. We want a numbers array input into this subroutine. So yeah, you leave it as add numbers is fine actually. We're going to for loop through the numbers. We're going to create an int. We're going to keep the answer variable there, start it at 0. And then we'll create a for loop to loop through the numbers. So it's already done that for us. So we want the answer to add whatever element in the numbers. We did already go through this challenge in the arrays video, but it's a good idea to know how to do this stuff as a variable, because you can start separating your code out. The bigger your programs become, the more you're going to want to organize it. So I could have a subroutine here called add array, and I may want to do that several times in my code. So I can just hide this down at the bottom, say, okay, I've created my add array subroutine. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm going to create some more code, so more code goes here, and then, oh, I've got an array, I want to add them together. So let's say I've got an array called nums up here. Equals new array, not array, new int. And, oh, it's already doing it for me. Perfect. I do love that 2022 tries to predict a lot of what you're doing, because it is actually quite useful. It speeds up my coding quite a lot. So I've got my array called nums, and I want to call add nums, and then I can send the array as a parameter into the subroutine, and that should add them all together. Let's do a console.read key just to test it all out. And there we go. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 is 21. So challenge 3 is add another subroutine for the program that can print out the maximum value in an array. So again, we've already done this subroutine, but this time we want to do it as a subroutine. Yeah, so we've already done this challenge, I mean, and I want to do it as a subroutine. So we'll do static void find max. So we're going to find the maximum number in an array. Let's use this code that we've already got. And there we go. So trying to remember how I did this. I think I remember how to do this. So we've got int highest. There we go. So we're going to find so we're going to create a highest variable. We're going to loop through the subroutine, and we're going to use a selection statement to say if the numbers done the highest. So it's already predicted what I want to try and do. So if the current integer, so if the current array is greater than the highest, it's going to replace the highest with the current element in the array. After that, we're just going to console.writeLine the highest. And there we go. Now again, another cool thing about arrays is if you want to test little bits at a time, I've already tested that the add numbers works together, so I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to find the find max now. So if I run that, can you see it completely ignores the add numbers subroutine now, because I have not called the add numbers subroutine up in the main subroutine. It's doing the find max subroutine, and it's finding that the max is 6. But it's completely ignoring the add numbers. So if you do not call the subroutine, this isn't actually, none of this is going to run. So all of this is redundant code right now until I call the subroutine. Not redundant code, unused code, not redundant. And there you go. So create a subroutine that can take in a first name and surname as 2 parameters, and then 2 letters for this first name and 3 letters for the surname. We've already done this, so we're just going to create this again, but in a subroutine. So we're going to call it create username. And what we want to do is actually import 2 parameters this time. So we're going to go string username, string surname. That one doesn't need to be capitalized. So in here we're going to say int username is equal to char.toString, and we're going to take the first element of the username. This should be called first name, not username, because I want to create a username, so that should be called first name. There we go, that's better. Plus the second element of the first name. So I'm going to add the second element of the first name, and then I'll do it all on one line. And this time we want this, the first element of the surname and the second element of the surname, and finally the third element of the surname. Oh, wrong type of bracket. There we go. Why is that not working? What's wrong here? Array size is going to be specified variable declaration with a new expression. Oh, I put a square bracket there. There we go. There's something wrong here. Let's have a look what's going on. I put username as an integer for some reason. There we go. I've just been dozy. That sorted that out. So after that we can do a console.writeLine. And there we go. I think it's because I'm recording a lot of these videos one after the other, so I'm kind of losing focus now. But you can see pretty much using the same method as the previous video on strings, on string manipulation. Let's test this out. So we're going to call the create username. Let's get rid of this. I don't need any of this. So we're going to call create username. And we're going to send to, we're going to go say Henry, comma, Smith. So something I didn't show you in the videos is you can send strings like this through the array as parameters. So I can do Henry Smith as the parameters there, and it will do the username like that. So if I were to do John Smith, it's created two usernames, HeSme and JoeSme. And I can also store some of these in variables. So let's say I store string first equals Henry. You can mix and match too. So let's say I have the first variable as a variable and the second one just hard-coded in. That will still work as well. So I could put this as like a username, but the surname is a set surname, and that still works as well. So I believe that is the final challenge. Yes, it is. So if you have any questions about how any of that works, please let me know in the comments. If you found this video useful in any way, please also let me know in the comments. Give this video a like and tap that subscribe button as well. I will see you guys next time.